Hello everyone, my name is Alana. Welcome to my channel. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And give this video a like. Up Sheldon's claim regarding George's adultery scandal on The Big Bang Theory is unrealistic because of his actions on young Sheldon. Some of the memories the socially awkward genius spoke about his early years in Texas with his family were devastating, such as his memory of witnessing his father cheat on his mother. Although the family comedy hasn't fully set it up, there is excitement to see how everything plays out on the small screen, because young Sheldon deals with this particular period of Sheldon's life. However, a fact about young Sheldon raises the possibility that this incident never actually occurred. There has been excitement to watch how the incident that led to Sheldon's three-knock habit unfolds on the small screen ever since he revealed the true cause of it on The Big Bang Theory. Given how it will alter the tone of the family comedy as a whole, it makes sense that young Sheldon has already postponed George's cheating bombshell so much. There may be a case to completely eliminate the prequel, but as it advances along the established timeline of The Big Bang Theory, there is increasing pressure to ultimately set it up. Sheldon explained to Penny the beginning of his peculiar knocking three behavior during Season 10 of The Big Bang Theory. He claims that at the age of 13, he unintentionally entered George's bedroom when he and his mother were having sex with another lady. Sheldon already frequently knocks on young Sheldon, which is the issue with this. It is difficult to envision Sheldon simply walking in on George while he is cheating, even if he doesn't do it 3 times before entering. Even though Missy's room is open, the socially awkward genius doesn't even enter it without knocking in the 100th episode of young Sheldon. After George's flirty night with Brenda Sparks at the neighborhood pub, the young Sheldon Season 4 finale hinted that he would eventually have an affair. Unfortunately, the show seems to have forgotten about that occurrence after using it to foment hostility amongst the neighbors in the prequel of The Big Bang Theory. Rather, it turned its attention to Mary, who became attracted to youth pastor Rob, although the family sitcom seemed to have already brushed it aside. With Mary and George abruptly rekindling their romance, young Sheldon Season 6 has taken an unexpected turn, paving the way for a happy marriage. The Big Bang Theory prequel is forced to address George's looming young Sheldon cheating issue, even if the Cooper parents have reconciled. The Cooper patriarch's affair has had a significant impact on Sheldon, so even if the spin-off has frequently gotten away with breaking continuity, it cannot ignore it. Additionally, the experience foreshadows George's unavoidable death, which alters the course of his family's existence. Given this, young Sheldon's depiction of George's affair is absolutely necessary. Otherwise, the offshoot might completely obliterate the established canon of The Big Bang Theory. You've probably heard about the infamous storyline surrounding George Cooper's affair, the one that forever altered the Cooper family dynamic. For years, the cheating scandal has been a dark cloud hanging over the character of George, Sheldon's father. But now, a recent revelation from young Sheldon has left fans stunned, suggesting that the entire cheating story from TBBT might not even be possible. Here's why young Sheldon has made Sheldon's George cheating story completely impossible and left fans questioning everything they thought they knew about the Cooper family. One of the most confusing aspects of George's affair in The Big Bang Theory was the timeline of events. Fans were led to believe that George had been unfaithful to his wife, Mary, and that the affair ultimately led to the breakdown of their marriage. However, young Sheldon throws a major wrench into this narrative. In young Sheldon, we see George as a hardworking, often loving father who appears deeply committed to his family. Sheldon, in his younger years, is frequently shown to have a great deal of respect for his father, even if they have their disagreements. The timeline in young Sheldon paints a picture of a family that's still intact, where George seems emotionally present and very much in love with Mary. This contradicts the version of George in The Big Bang Theory, who is depicted as a somewhat distant, flawed, and cheating husband. The discrepancy in timelines makes it incredibly difficult to reconcile the two versions of George's character. Could George really have been hiding an affair while still playing the role of a devoted husband and father in his younger years? Young Sheldon's portrayal of George casts doubt on the entire premise of the affair, suggesting that perhaps the storylines in TBD didn't align with the earlier events shown in young Sheldon. One of the most shocking revelations from young Sheldon is how George, at least in the earlier seasons, is shown to be more faithful and supportive than we were led to believe in The Big Bang Theory. In The Big Bang Theory, George's cheating is used as a key part of his character's downfall, contributing to his eventual death and the troubled relationship between him and Sheldon. However, in young Sheldon, George is shown to be a dedicated father who works hard to provide for his family, including coaching Sheldon's baseball team and trying to maintain peace between his wife, Mary, and his son, Sheldon. There's no mention of infidelity, and instead, the focus is on George trying to navigate the challenges of parenting a genius child and a rebellious teenage daughter. The absence of any hint of cheating in young Sheldon directly contradicts the affair storyline in TBDT. In fact, George's character in young Sheldon seems more like the kind of person who would be too invested in his family to even consider an affair. The show does a fantastic job of showing George's vulnerabilities and flaws, but cheating just doesn't seem to fit his character, making the betrayal in TBD feel even more out of place. In The Big Bang Theory, Sheldon often references his traumatic childhood, particularly his strained relationship with his father, George. It's suggested that Sheldon's complicated feelings toward his father are partially a result of George's affair. However, the Sheldon we see in young Sheldon doesn't seem to have experienced the level of emotional trauma that would justify Sheldon's relationship with George wasn't perfect. There were certainly moments of tension. It's clear that Sheldon loved his father and that George tried to connect with him in his own way. Sheldon's memories of his father in young Sheldon are largely filled with moments of confusion, frustration, and occasional pride. But there's no indication that Sheldon was deeply affected by an affair that he should have known about had it truly happened. If George's infidelity had been a major event in Sheldon's childhood, wouldn't we expect to see more emotional scars in his younger years? The lack of any trauma related to George's affair in young Sheldon makes the version of Sheldon's backstory we get in The Big Bang Theory seem inconsistent and, frankly, hard to believe. Another major flaw in the cheating storyline from The Big Bang Theory is the portrayal of Mary Cooper's response to George's infidelity. In TBBT, Mary is depicted as an incredibly devout, strong-willed woman who has a deep sense of moral integrity. The idea that Mary would have tolerated George's affair for as long as she did seems incredibly out of character when compared to the version of her we see in young Sheldon. In young Sheldon, Mary is shown to be fiercely protective of her children and highly aware of her family's dynamics. She is a woman who values loyalty and honesty, and it's difficult to imagine her just letting an affair slide. In fact, if George had truly been unfaithful, we would expect Mary to confront him much sooner, especially given the fiery, no-nonsense personality she displays in young Sheldon. The inconsistency between Mary's character in young Sheldon and her reaction to George's affair in TBDT makes the entire affair storyline seem forced and, quite frankly, unbelievable. One of the most important aspects of Sheldon's character in The Big Bang Theory is his unwavering commitment to logic and reason, even when it comes to relationships. Sheldon's lack of empathy and his difficulty understanding social norms are often explained by the unique way he was raised, but the narrative surrounding George's affair doesn't quite fit with this. If Sheldon had truly known about his father's infidelity, or if the affair had been a formative event in his childhood, it would have had a lasting impact on his psychological development. Sheldon's inability to connect with people on an emotional level might have been exacerbated by such a traumatic event, but there's no clear indication that his personality or worldview was shaped by this particular scandal. In fact, Sheldon's development in young Sheldon seems to be more influenced by his relationship with his mother and his intellectual pursuits than any kind of family drama. The idea that George's affair could have played such a pivotal role in Sheldon's character development now feels questionable, especially when we see Sheldon's childhood in a completely different light. After all this, the big question remains: did George really cheat on Mary? Young Sheldon makes it very hard to believe, especially considering the version of George we're shown. As the show progresses, it becomes clear that the creators of Young Sheldon have decided to take a different approach to George's character, one that doesn't align with the narrative laid out in The Big Bang Theory. Perhaps the affair was a narrative choice meant to create drama in TBDT, but Young Sheldon seems intent on presenting a more wholesome, relatable version of George. This leaves fans with a difficult dilemma. Was the affair a fabrication of Sheldon's mind, a misinterpretation of events, or simply an invention of the showrunners to add conflict to the family dynamic? Now that Young Sheldon has provided us with a more detailed, nuanced view of George Cooper's character, it's hard to reconcile his actions in The Big Bang Theory with the father we see in his younger years. Young Sheldon presents a George who is present, loving, and somewhat conflicted, but not a man who would cheat on his wife. While The Big Bang Theory might have portrayed George's affair as a major character flaw, Young Sheldon makes it feel like an impossible storyline. Could the creators of The Big Bang Theory have gotten it all wrong? Is the affair truly a piece of TBT lore that no longer fits into the larger picture of Sheldon's childhood? The more we watch Young Sheldon, the harder it becomes to believe that George could have ever been the unfaithful husband depicted in TBDT. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay with us.